Wow. Bitcoin loves the chaos. What a fantastic day that was. Over $37,000 for Bitcoin right now. That's nice to see. Now, I had a wonderful afternoon at the beach, and one of the things that always reminds me, and plants even kind of remind me of this. This is going to be a long live stream today, guys. So sit down, buckle up, enjoy the ride. We're going to be able to look at a bunch of your guys' thoughts and questions. But one of the things that kind of crossed my mind happened when I first moved here. I grow my own garden. I've got like my own private well here. I've got a little waterfall on the property. And one of the jokes one of my neighbors made to me when I first moved here, because I've been interested in market sentiments for quite some time, was, and this is funny too. He's like, no matter what happens, he's like, the corn doesn't care what the markets are doing. And there's something really deeply sentimental about that I always appreciated, which is nature is really on its own course. And the closer the relationship you have with nature, the richer your life is. And I think Seneca, for those of you that happen to be into philosophy, such as myself, you would know that Seneca has a quote. It says, if you live in accordance to what others think of you, you'll never be rich. But if you live in accordance with nature, you'll never be poor. And this kind of mentality about being close to nature is something that makes life all the more important. Being able to have a relationship with nature. Anyways, a beautiful sunset. I could, if you guys want, go to my Twitter. Maybe we'll take a look at it in a little bit. But we just had a beautiful sunset here in Costa Rica. But we're gonna take a look at Bitcoin. We're gonna make some predictions. Obviously, that trading range broke out to the positive, and we looked at that yesterday. And it's always such an important time when studying to focus on not what we want to happen, but what looks like is most likely to happen. So I'm going to bust open the Bitcoin chart here, and we're going to take a look at yesterday's trading range. As it was pretty beautiful reaccumulation pattern of something we've been studying for months and months. And it's always nice to see that what we've been studying pays off. So here we go. Jump over to, nope, there we go. There's the Bitcoin chart. Reaccumulation. Wyckoff's reaccumulation. That's the new PDF that will be coming out this week for all of the private Bear Den members. So thank you guys for that. I was hoping to get it out last month, but this has just been a very chaotic time. I've had to do all this paperwork to try to get my residency in a rushed manner here. I'm actually using my old criminal record check. Anyways, I don't want to bore you with my life's paperwork and notary nonsense with lawyers, but here you can see we had a nice rally test. Another test, a jump across the creek, and then boom, this backup phase. And we started to go and break out of the box. Now, one of the important parts here is making sure that we're recognizing whether these trading ranges are a reaccumulation or distribution. Because remember, reaccumulation and distribution can look very similar. And let's make a highlight about where that would have been noticeable for us. The spring, highlighted by some institutional selling with, again, fairly limited downside spread. And today's upwards break out of the box, again, more result, less effort. And that's what you want to keep in mind. I think when studying Wyckoff phase analysis, I think it was best put, in this ideas of supply and demand, you're looking for the law of effort versus result. So here we saw a little less result, very similar effort, but here we saw more same effort, more result in price spread. And this is always an indication of bullish sentiment. Now, if it had gone the other way, if we had actually seen a higher volume spike here and a less high, like let's say it went to like this or something, as in comparison with this volume spike here where we went up, that would be an indication that we were headed into a distribution phase. And that's not the case right now. Very clear, because reaccumulation and distribution look identical until you get to measure the volume here. So we haven't gone over the volume as much. Again, in the educational process, what I want everyone to understand is that this is not the only bull market that we'll see. It's definitely not the last, and it's just getting warmed up. And it's always important to keep that in mind, that long perspective of time, because otherwise life, the idea of FOMO is real. It's very easy to get stuck in, oh, if I had only bought more Bitcoin when it was down at $6,000 or something like this. And it can be very stressful for those of you that are new, and you often end up making a lot of mistakes because of it. So one of the things that I always try to remind people of is that this is a lifelong skill set. So if you're actually interested in understanding how this type of stuff works, you're going to be able to do this more than once. I remember when we went from 3,000 to 20,000, and now again from 3,000 to 40, probably upwards of closer to 50,000. So one of the sentiments that's always important is to remind ourselves what's really valuable in life. You know, money doesn't change who you are. It doesn't change a lot of things for life. I mean, a few years ago, I had some of the most money I've ever had, and I was not that happy because money doesn't change how happy you are. Now, I know it's kind of a weird thing to talk about in a bull market as we're like screaming towards amazingness, but I had this it was my buddy's birthday. I went over to his house. I brought him a present, a piece of Baruca pottery, which is the indigenous tribe that lives in Costa Rica. And on my property, I found all this indigenous pottery because I live right near, like I said, I have my private creek and a little waterfall. So indigenous people used to live on my property. So I brought him a piece of this clay, and I gave him some psychedelic mushrooms for his birthday because, you know, we're in Costa Rica. And this is the view of the sunset. He lives just up the street from me. And what's unique is that the people, he made a joke. He's dressed really nice. It's his 31st birthday. He's like, well, when you're broke and poor like I am, he's like, you gotta like feel rich. And their attitude, is often so much better than a lot of the people I've met that have made a lot of money. They're constantly stressed out and working. So I just kind of wanted to highlight to make sure that you guys are always following your passions, or not just your passions, but what interests you, what intrigues you, what keeps you curious. So for me, I really like studying this type of market psychology and analysis. So it's a kind of a win-win situation for me because I'm severely interested in it. It's not just about making money. I find the fascination about market psychology a deeply interesting philosophical topic. Not only that, I really like the innovation in this tech sector. So let's go out here on the 4 hour and take a look at this right now. So what's interesting here is the box is actually getting a little bigger. Now this is this is what I'm going to say confusing to me. This is confusing to me because I haven't seen it where the box actually gets bigger in the trading range. So I don't know what's coming next. And one of the things we had talked about in our previous shows, look, we don't want to call a top. We want to wait till we see a top and then know that that's happening. Right now, we could go much higher still, maybe $40,000 or $50,000 before we see a blow off top. But again, what it's going to come down to is our ability to be patient and study these trading ranges. So every step of the way, you know, there's potentials to make more money, yes, increase your wealth and your portfolio, yes. But I think keeping that deeply lit curiosity of one's own self and nature is really the payoff. Again, you know, I have friends who have made hundreds of millions of dollars managing billion-dollar companies, and my friend that I was hanging out with tonight, who was a self-proclaimed poor person, but was surrounded by friends and family. You know, he's like, my dad's got horses and cows, and we're, you know, farming and stuff. So everyone's life is different, and the way we view wealth is drastically different. And again, remember, I live in the middle of nowhere in Costa Rica. Did I just bleep out the word "but" and then say "fuck"? Jesus, Tio. But nowhere. You have to bleep your own words on YouTube. I need like a beep button. So, anyways, point of the story, it was a reminder for me to stay humble and watching like increasing numbers. Oh my God, it's amazing! And then, you know, to remember the really important things in life so often have absolutely nothing to do with financial success or wealth. They're really about a mindset of wealth and success that keep people happy and keep that smile on your face. So yeah, we're gonna jump over to Ethereum here. We'll take a look at this. On the 45 minutes, going to give us a much clearer image here. Look at this. Wow, what a nice bullish sentiment. Again, from the top of the TR, what we do is we like to draw a horizontal trading range. We are in a very bullish market, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see these tests that are coming in. They're showing a little bit of weakness, which means there is institutional selling. Obviously, that's a smart game plan for them, but it also shows that there's still institutional buying. So these big markers are, we're going to take a look at Glassnode in a second. We're going to start to dive through some more of the blockchain analytics because it's going to become more and more important to understand how much Bitcoin is on the open market versus how much is getting chewed up through, say, buying by Grayscale on OTC desks, etc. Because it's really going to change the story here. And that's one of the reasons why we're seeing such dramatic price movement and swings is because there's very limited supply left on the marketplace. So when these big institutional players, if they show up on a Binance or a Kraken and they're looking to grab some more Bitcoin, they really affect the price. So here in the horizontal trading range, we had a nice spike. You can see the amount of volume that came in here on sale to test the market. And again, the price spread here to the downside, this volume bar here, versus the volume to the upside starting here. So we have a significant amount more result and effort to the upside than we do the downside for the same amount of volume coming in. And again, this is bullish indicators, guys. We've said this countless times that when you start to rise like this on falling volume, that's bullish. Now, it's a long time technical analysis fault to say that we would rise on more volume. It's actually the opposite because you would rise on less supply. That's what makes sense. So you don't really get to witness that stuff until you're in a bull market, but that's why we're always learning. So Ethereum out of the box, we saw this spike down today in both Bitcoin and Ethereum. This was the moment when people started rioting and breaking into Capitol Hill. I had watched the videos. Like, you know, it's such an interesting conversation. I want to talk about it just for a really brief, quick second. Let's see, make sure everything's going smooth on the live stream first too, I guess, before I get too far and ahead of myself. Let's see. Give me a thumbs up if everything's going smoothly, guys. Let us know. Okay, boom. Everything's going smoothly. Boom. Awesome. Great. Thank you. Okay, perfect. I wanted to talk about this. I was actually rooting for the people who were trying to break into Capitol Hill. And I think that there's something deeply disconcerting about what's going on in the government. But what I liked about it, aside, and I'll stay apolitical here, is look what just a very quick reaction on the market. They're like, oh my God, the protests are shake the markets, I think is what one news outlet said. So if we roll over to the S&P 500, we haven't done this for a little while. I want to take a look at the larger story for the S&P 500 because even the S&P 500 has actually remained very bullish. And we see this bullish flag on the S&P 500 too, which is crazy. First off, we're at all-time highs on the S&P 500. And we could call this real-time asset inflation. I think we had talked about that as the pandemic had started, that basically what we're witnessing is real-time asset inflation to money printing. And look how very little time we spent in this horizontal trading range before we broke out. And we're still, we could start to go parabolic here. Let's say, let's say things start to settle down and people aren't rioting or whatnot. This market, the S&P 500, is going to absolutely explode. There was not even a blip in the volatility index from the break into the Capitol Hill and then the contention around the elections. You look at the VIX here too. We went down today. An absolute contrarian event to what anyone would expect in a moment like that. The markets barely move. Bitcoin's going up, and the volatility index spreads to the downside. Makes absolutely no sense. What I like about this is it makes no sense. I love nonsensical things because it means there's something I'm missing. It means there's something I'm not understanding. I think in general, the markets have realized that the money printing is not going to stop. I think people realize that to keep a Ponzi scheme going, you gotta keep injecting new capital. And it's kind of like a hard figure to understand. The human emotion is not even almost involved in some of this market sentiment anymore. We're seeing a real disconnect between Wall Street and Main Street. And that worries me. I live in Costa Rica, so it's quite different. I have a 2.5 acre farm, private well, hundreds of fruit trees, greenhouse. I'm well set up here. I'm 4 or 5 hours away from the biggest city. You can't even tell that there's a government necessarily, aside from when they do silly, stupid things, but unimportant. The point I want to get across is there's a big growing gap in wealth and inequality around the planet. And that is very worrying to me because eventually the wealthy become the target. So the people and the brands and the companies like Chamath Palihapitiya put out, those companies and brands that help bridge the gap between financial education and financial equality are going to be the main hit and feature of this coming decade. Because part of the problem with the Bolshevik Revolution, I'm looking at photos of people taking over Capitol Hill, is because of that growing gap in inequality, people are going to get more and more of a distaste in their mouth. And no matter how much money you have, you become the target. So great, I'm going to hire some bodyguards or like put a bigger fence or gate. I already have a 30-foot tall gate with an armed guard tower. Like, how much more do you want to protect yourself? Whereas should we be focusing on building? And this is what I'm really excited about Ethereum for, is that this technology really starts to provide us a potential for decreasing the friction in the financial system and increasing the potential to provide liquidity to the underbanked and the underserved. That's why I loved Bitcoin to begin with. And that's why I'm so excited about Ethereum now. Bitcoin lost that allure. It's just, oh, next big hedge fund buying. Well, these motherfuckers don't do anything for anybody. Basically, great. A bunch of people that have a lot more money are going to have more money. That's the same problem. This doesn't solve anything. Bitcoin, when it's doing that, it's not solving some of the original dilemmas that I felt so strongly about, is what it can do as technology. So it's solving a monetary and a fiscal problem, but we have a much bigger societal problem that's about to break headwind. And I'm cautiously concerned about that as a dilemma. So I wanted, I guess a bit more of a philosophical conversation included here. But when we see these big, look at this basically perfect rising gradient channel through the box here. And again, guys, remember, we're not seeing a massive spike in volume outside of the box, which means still bull market. We're going higher. Ethereum will pump out to the daily here. We'll get our picture. You can't even see it. Let's actually go back to our full frame chart here. Yes, there we go. So we are now in some of the upwardmost extensions here. So you can see once we hit past the primary regression line back from our automatic rally, it was nothing but up. There's very little holding us back. Oh, wow, the VPVR is turned off. So I'm going to turn on the VPVR here. This is the volume profile indicator. This is one of my favorite ones. We're going to go over band, chain link. We'll take a look at more of your guys' thoughts and questions. The volume profile in visible range is really only for pro or paid memberships effectively. And I usually go to row size about, let's say 111. Nice even triple number section there. Close that out. Oh, gross, I got to put all the colors back here. We'll do it right now. So for those of you that don't know, TradingView, you can edit all of your fun schmandangles here. I'm going to change my colors back to what I'm currently running as blue and pink, and then another blue and pink, and then my POC line should be bright pink as well. Thank you. Back to where I had it before I accidentally deleted it. Okay, so we have nothing holding us back. So this is one of the fun parts about this volume indicator. See, once we broke out past this $700 mark, as you can see, there's nothing over here. There's so little holding us back. The primary resistance was just this final little bit of the VPVR before we just went on this massive run. And as we scroll out, you can see there's nothing holding us back anymore. Maybe we consolidate in this area for a little longer, maybe not, but there's nothing stopping us from going 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, 5,000, 10, $15,000 Ethereum. I personally believe, for better or for worse, that Ethereum could give Bitcoin a real run for its money here. I'm not a maximalist in any ways. I personally believe Bitcoin is our collateral. It is our money. But Ethereum is significantly more modifiable. It does a lot more. So the two together are actually the most potent aspect of what we would like to see. For all of you that have been joining the Bear Den for this long, do you remember when we saw these primary backups and LPSs and this first SOS, how big this SOS felt when we went from like $240 to $300? We're like, yeah, look at this SOS. This This, ladies and gentlemen, that is a real SOS. This is a real sign of strength for this market. And what's fun is we haven't had an LPS yet. This has just been SOS. There's been no real LPS since we were back down at $377. So there has been no correction yet. It will come. We will see some type of reaccumulation range. So often what we look for is accumulation, up, reaccumulation, and then another big up in distribution. We haven't really seen that yet. We could hypothesize. Let's go back to Ethereum perpetuals here, and we'll use another chart. We could hypothesize that this was the idealized like accumulation, reaccumulation, and then boom, up before we see a potential distribution. But we're not there yet. And again, the way we can tell we're not there yet is because of the volume signatures through this trading range. The key indicator that separates reaccumulation from distribution, so all the private Bear Den members, you will know distribution, and you'll know accumulation if you've been doing your homework. The next thing, which is the most important, and we're going to continue to use this for the rest of probably the next 18 months, is reaccumulation. And this is highlighted by a breakout side of the box with diminished volume. Again, that is the sign of a bull market, not the opposite. If we had a heightened volume mark here and this limited movement, that would be a scary indicator. Because again, if you look over at these significant institutional buying here, look what that did for price spread. Right, so if we saw an equivalent spike come up to here in the volume indicator, but only saw this little bit of, this would signify a UTAD or an upthrust of distribution effectively. But we're not seeing that. We are going higher, okay? So keep that in mind. Use these things when you're studying and use it to your advantage, because no one is going to trade for you. I saw a comment of someone's like, oh, they bought Bitcoin at 10 grand and they sold at 27. Well, that's silly. I don't know how many times we've said we are at the very beginning stages of a bull market. This shit is just getting warmed up. The fact that it's going straight up shows that there's clearly more demand than there is supply in both Ethereum and Bitcoin. And together, Bitcoin and Ethereum is one of the most innovative sectors I've seen in the tech space in my entire life. And we can go buy a drone that has thermal imaging. It's not like the tech sector is boring right now. There are tons of cool things going on. But this specifically, the ability to provide a frictionless finance system is a huge game changer for the world. So I'm really, really excited to be here with you guys during such climactic times. So many friends of mine are like, oh, Bitcoin, Ethereum, like I wish I would have bought, why didn't I listen to you? This is always going to be a learning process. One of the things that I like to do is look for things that most people, A, don't understand, or B, like. The first time I bought Bitcoin at 90 bucks, well, first off, I didn't even understand it. I had no idea what I was doing or why. It just provided me a utility. The next times, what I liked about it was finding kind of the unknown and the taboo. I think Ethereum is still in that early stage space where it's still relatively unknown what this is capable of. We're going to continue to look at band link, and we'll go a few of your guys' thoughts, but let's take this moment to actually go over and take a look at some of your guys' questions. I'm just going to pop the chat out. If you guys are enjoying this content, please give us a thumbs up. It really helps other people later on down the stream find this content that they might be looking for. So if you guys find it valuable, it'd be really helpful to the channel. Also, if you share it on Twitter or Facebook, YouTube's algorithm loves that stuff. Also, in general, my main goal here is just to continually show up, try to keep a calm mind, and focus on the idea that it's a pretty simple concept to want to invest long term. It should be something that you do all the time. It's not just about money. It's about, hey, look, I want to learn how to use a camera so that I can make vlogs. So I'm going to invest my time and my energy in doing that because I like to. So I think broad spectrum investing. So let's pop out the chat here and take a look at some of your guys' thoughts and questions. Let's see here. I'm going to actually have to copy this chat screen and I'm going to have to upload it into the software here really quickly. Probably should have done this before. Hey, window capture, browser capture. Sorry about this, guys. I should have had the chat uploaded before we started the stream, but it was kind of a last minute impromptu idea. Okay, that should do for now. Okay, we'll look at some of the questions here. Go almost all the way back to the top. I'm sorry if you guys wrote stuff in the beginning. I can't go back that far. It's just too much. You know, this guy I'm not a fan of. Let's just remove them. Okay. Awesome. Sam, what do you think about graph? Okay, we can look at that chart in a little bit, so I'll write that down here, GRT. We'll make sure to look at that when we go. For now, I'm just going to take questions. Arcane Bear, do you think it's alt season right now? I'm really highly interested in the DeFi sector. I think decentralized money Legos are a huge deal, highly undervalued, and there's a lot of room in this space. I'm a big fan of things like Avalanche, Dot, or Polkadot, Chainlink. This entire ecosystem is going to function better together. You know, when the internet first came out, it wasn't just, oh my God, we have TCP/IP. No, there was SMTP and POP3 and IMAP and all these other protocols that went and made the internet what it is today. FTP servers, right? Or torrents. We're not even sure how much more technology there's going to be that evolves from this kind of genius idea of solving some of the security issues through the Byzantine dilemma, and what we can do with that type of decentralized information building system, like the Ethereum virtual machine, is a really, really interesting idea. Kay says, should I sell Bitcoin? Only if you need to pay for something more important than building a portfolio. Specifically, you want to wait till we're at like a screaming high, and we're nowhere near a screaming high. We could see Bitcoin very easily at anywhere between $100,000 to $300,000 within the next 18 months. So selling here is like a silly thing to do. You should be accumulating and go from there. It's a much smarter idea, in my opinion, not financial advice. Okay, so let's take a look. Yes, I just removed Mr. Freak's ability to comment because all he talks about is XRP, and it's not worth my time. It's not worth someone who just wants to keep arguing with themselves. So you're no longer allowed to comment. What's your take on Kyber network? Possible $6 plus. Okay, I don't know. We'd have to take a look at the charts. I do know that it is on my DeFi monitors. Yeah, Believer says, if you sell, what are you going to do with the money? Great question. Like if your mother needs attention and you got to pay for that, sell your Bitcoin and help your mom. That's the only time I think it would be a good time to sell your Bitcoin. Theta has better dynamics than ETH. What was wrong with these people? Are you kidding me? Theta has nothing on Ethereum in comparison. Again, guys, Theta is trying to build a content distribution network, but it in no way needs a blockchain. It doesn't. I have yet to see that. You know, YouTube has banned some people, yes, but not that many. YouTube kicked off Alex Jones. Well, Alex Jones, as much as I hate to have seen him gone, because I liked Alex Jones, I liked his crazy character and all his crazy conspiracies, and I think we should allow free speech to prevail so that we can let the crazy shit air out in the broad daylight instead of let it go fester in the darkness. Content distribution from a decentralized matter doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So maybe there's something I'm missing, but Theta also, how are you going to incentivize the content creators to go on the platform? YouTube works fine the way it is. Now there are inherent flaws, but I would be hard pressed to see how it would solve that problem. I could be wrong. And I've said this to people many times. I remember when one of my good friends brought me Link at the ICO, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what Link is, blah, 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 blah. I know better. Well, guess what? I'm wrong sometimes. And it's not that I'm wrong. It's that you guys are actually better at understanding what you think is going to work. So if you think Theta is the next hot shit thing, go invest in it. You don't need to yell it at everybody else for it to work then, right? It would just do its thing in the background. So I can look at it technically speaking, we can look at the charts, but from a conceptual level, I don't necessarily see a long-term need for that type of content delivery system. So that's just my personal belief. Again, could be wrong. I was wrong about Link. Nice. Are we over $1 trillion market cap? Condre says. No way. Is that a thing right now? Okay, guys, that's a big deal. Just at least as a celebration moment, let's go to CoinGecko. $970 billion We are $30 billion shy. Wait, hold on. I should refresh the screen. It's probably my screen. $1 trillion market cap. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. This entire ecosystem is now a behemoth, a Goliath. That is fantastic. Oh, that is so good to see. It's vindication to some degree or another that we were right. Not at any one thing specific, but as a whole, we were right. $1 trillion market cap for the crypto sector. That's great to see. Let's see. Thanks for pointing that out, by the way, Condre. Great share. Okay, let's see here. You got thoughts on, okay, yeah, we're going to look at Band. We're going to look at Chainlink. We're going to look at KNC and Graph as well. So thoughts on ADA. You know, guys, look, again, any of these I look at as venture capital, which is, I would never put too much money in any of them specifically, but having a diversified portfolio into a bunch of them sounds like a really smart venture capital play to me, because look, a bunch of them are going to fail. We will see a bunch of them fail in the long term. That's just the way venture capitalism goes. But there's one or two that you get right that are 100 or 1,000x returns. You don't need a whole lot in there at 1,000x return, ladies and gentlemen. Like $1,000 could be a life changer for you. So I try to think of it like venture capital in terms of this. Apologies, joining late. We're linking SNX in the chat discussed. No, so I've got SNX, Link, Band, GRT, ADA. I'm going to look at all those charts at the end. What would be the best place to leverage trade? It depends where you live in the world. If you go to arcanebear.com/Binance, you can sign up at Binance. If you want to go to arcanebear.com/FTX, you can trade on FTX. Arcanebear.com/Bybit. I don't know. They're all good. I think it really depends on the jurisdiction that you're living in. Futures platforms are all effectively perpetual swap contracts. So I don't think it makes too much of a difference. The UI and UX is a little different. You got to get used to it, but it's pretty much the exact same thing. Like if I get in a Nissan or a Toyota truck, sure, there's slightly different things going on there, but it's pretty much the same thing. So it's hard to say. Talk about living in Nicaragua. I don't live in Nicaragua. I live in Costa Rica. So I wouldn't be able to say much about Nicaragua. Bitcoin is inciting greed and FOMO, not muni finance or charity. No, I understand. We're getting there. Check out Good Dollar. We had a great conversation with the Good Dollar team today. Again, I have high hopes that this sector will effectively lean into a lot more helping the underbanked and underserved through microfinance. It is such an important part. And shout out to KAVA, the nonprofit lending platform where you can loan money to entrepreneurs and then get that money back. And you can help a entrepreneur in rural Rwanda. We'll actually go over at the end of the episode. Maybe we'll make another loan to KAVA tonight as well for fun, because things are going well. Hey there. What do you think about Dogecoin short-term and long-term? Meme coins. You know, there's something very powerful to be said about a meme. But what's interesting is that Doge represents the power of a community, I think, more so than the technology, which means that the technology doesn't have to be intrinsically better. It just has to be intrinsically interesting. And that's a pretty interesting idea to meditate on. Think about it, how many times one technology is beaten out another, but it's not better technology, right? DVD wasn't better than Blu-ray. Cassette wasn't better than Beta. I think this is called Beta? A-Track. Maybe it's Beta. I don't remember. I'm too young to remember, but I do vaguely remember. So it's often about community adoption of technology before the technology itself, which is interesting, right? So keep that in mind. I think it's important. Max Kaiser was telling me to buy Bitcoin at $5 when I listened to Alex Jones didn't do it. Yeah, that's how long we've been in this ecosystem. Funny to see. They'll pay them in T-Fuel. Yeah, again, I think it's a much more interesting conversation to have content creators with their own tokens, not getting paid in like, oh, you get paid in T-Fuel for posting videos on THETA. That sounds like garbage to me. It's the same horrible participation factor that we have now, which basically means the people that started THETA and are there the first, like, that's not going to reward the content creators and their communities the most. That still rewards the platform the most. and the platform isn't worth nothing. If all the YouTube content creators decided to leave, YouTube isn't worth anything. The tech is trash. If everybody left Facebook, it's worthless code. You have to understand that the only reason those things are valuable is because of the community that made YouTube. People like Casey Neistat, Peter McKinnon, PewDiePie, Mr. Beast, the gangsters who continually push the boundaries of what it is to be a content creator, make YouTube what it is. Without them, it's nothing. If THETA can't get PewDiePie and Mr. Beast and Peter McKinnon and Casey Neistat to grow that platform, it's not worth anything because the community's not there, and it doesn't matter how good the tech is. We have seen this countless times where technology, if it's not adopted by the community, it doesn't have any real value. And one of the important parts is to remember is that if YouTube didn't have those first vloggers, the people who did, like Casey Neistat was the first person to do like a vlog every day. That was a big deal. He pioneered and really kind of helped make YouTube what it is. Even for me, when I first saw that, I was like, wait, you can make 5-minute videos about your day, tell short stories. I loved it. I started making videos all the time, like little vlogs. Even I'll get back into it one of these days, but it's such a fun artistic process. And it's really the distribution that was interesting to them. They're like, great, I can make a video and it can go viral and see by 20 million people. No matter what THETA does, unless they get bought out by YouTube and adopted wholly. And again, we've seen the type of problems that the the US government for regulations and antitrust laws around the use of a token. I just don't see it happening. I see content creators with their own individual tokens and the risk put on the creators themselves and removed from the platform, not put into the platform itself. Just my 2 cents. What do you think about fiat currency dying? Yeah, great question. You know, it's very likely that fiat will continue to lose value, but that's the point of currency. It's supposed to be inflated. Somewhere along the way, we got in this weird conversation where people thought fiat was money, but fiat is not money. It's currency. They tell you that. It's a big difference. Like they do different things. So long term, it's hard to say. But really, currency is, we need to keep making more of it because there's more people that are born, more wealth that's being generated, new ideas, new businesses. It's a very difficult, complex conversation. Really, what I would like to see is less people focused on intrinsic scarcity. Oh my God, I have the one thing, and be focused on the abundance and the infinite aspects of the universe. I actually think it's quite degrading of the mind to think that scarcity is the ultimate when we're like probably a hair's length away from finding almost infinite energy. What happens to money if you have an infinite energy device? Like say you could fly a plane around the world 100 million times and it didn't cost any gas, just like slight repair and upkeep on the hydraulics to move the ailerons and the tilt, whatever the shit at the back is called. You would pay nothing to fly around the world, right? So then would money decrease in value too? Because now you wouldn't need anything because we could create almost an infinite amount of energy. I'm much more attracted to the infinite of the universe than I am to the scarcity of it. Even though I appreciate what Bitcoin has done, I also think it's a degradative mindset to be focused on just scarcity. That's like a monkey. Oh my God, I'm the monkey that's going to have the most bananas. Like, we live in like an infinite universe. Just sit down, close your eyes, and meditate. Like one of my favorite parts about last year was I had the extreme pleasure of hanging out with Naval Ravikant in Bali, and he invited me to their group to do these like multiple hour meditations. And when you sit down, all of that disappears. You go into the infinite and you recognize that scarcity is just some bullshit that our monkey minds made up because we're scared about tomorrow and want to make sure we have enough bananas. It's some pretty horseshit nonsense, to be truthful. So where do I think money and currency are going? Probably useless in the long-term future because we're on our path to being an infinite cosmic species. At least that's what I hope. That's kind of my dream, that we can travel internal and external space together forever in peace, as Bill Hicks once said. Okay, a few more questions and rants here. I've got, again, SNX, KNC, GRT, ADA, Link, Polkadot, and we're going to just rip through those charts here at the end. Okay, you guys said Zilliqa. Oh, yeah, THETA too. You definitely want me to look at THETA's chart. And again, like I said, guys, I don't chart there's one thing, I don't care what the token is. If it's forming a beautiful accumulation pattern or something, that's awesome. Let's potentially make a trade there, but not my interest in terms of technologically speaking. Let's see. Renee Montenegro, this guy's hilarious. I'm going to give you a shout out, Renee Montenegro, because you have been here every week saying we're going to dump hard this weekend. And every weekend you have been absolutely wrong. But you know what? You've stuck by your guns and you've said we're going to dump. And I appreciate your resilience for being wrong and continuing to hold your ability to be wrong like a champion. I mean, I don't think it's a good thing, but I think that resilience and that perseverance should be appreciated. It really goes to show that no matter how many times people are wrong, they will hold to their guns just to remain that tribalistic thinker. So hats off to Renee Montenegro for every week showing up and being absolutely wrong. Okay. Great. Awesome. Great comments, great questions. A lot of you guys are just looking at thoughts on XRP beating the SEC. Great question. And we'll use this again. I know we want to go over some charts, but it's a really difficult conversation question because should XRP be deemed as a currency? They kind of shot themselves in the foot when they started selling it to front-end retail investors and giving it to banks trying to sell it as a product. I don't think that they're going to win that lawsuit personally. The SEC has a good case against them and they wouldn't try to do it unless they thought that they could win. And they've spent the last decade building that fucking case. You know, I was friends with the people who started Ripple before the other guys showed up. When it started in Canada as like a community work share before there was even technology involved. It's a whole nother story. But the point of this is they've probably shot themselves in the foot and it's very likely that it is going to be deemed a security, not a currency. I don't see that it is a currency. That's a very hard line to pass of a currency after you've been selling it to help fund a business that's providing other products and you have a retail investment group of people that think somehow the rest of what Ripple is doing is related to XRP when it's not. Yeah, Ripple has created a few products for banks that they started to try to use, but XRP has not been one of the mainstays. So it's very likely that they do end up being deemed a security. Whether I agree with that, I actually think we should do away with the SEC. I think we should have no regulation. If you're dumb and you do dumb shit, you should be rewarded with a lesson and experience that's costly. That's how you can learn. If the SEC gets in the way of people doing dumb shit, I'm not saying necessarily XRP is a dumb thing, but if you do something dumb while you're investing, what's going to help you learn? Not regulators, right? And what I would rather see is a better formed society who go through the process of learning because they got burned, because they touched something hot. Not something like, oh, we're the big bad regulators. We're going to show up and make sure everybody's doing everything by the book and blah, blah. I actually think we should have no SEC. We should have very little regulation and a lot more experimentation. So not a big fan of the SEC, but I think that they've got a pretty solid case because of how Ripple have been selling XRP to fund their business, building other products, and the hallucination that somehow XRP had anything to do with Ripple's evaluation. You don't own a part of Ripple, but a lot of people thought that they did. And that's really what deems it a security, which is a hard one. Again, I don't like the SEC. I think we should do away with them as well. XLM. See, now XLM is interesting because they took the path of being a bit more decentralized to begin with. XLM was much more about the conversation of, hey guys, you know, let's start to give away free XLM frequently because this will help the decentralization process. Look, I've never gotten any free XRP, but I know a lot of people who got free XLM. And this is kind of one of those checks off the book is, are you decentralized? How many people have your token? How did they get that token? They got it for free? Ah, okay. Probably less as security because they just gave it to you. There's no expectation of anything in that moment. And a lot of companies have done this. 1inch, Uniswap, I think Wi-Fi even has done this with some of their governance tokens. Someone smarter will correct me, I'm sure, if I'm wrong. But yeah, that's a very difficult line to cross, and I'm not an expert in the legal laws of the Howey test, an outdated 1930s security test that has nothing to do with the relevance of today. So hard question to answer on for sure. XLM to me seems like the real XRP. If I were to make that statement, XLM is the real XRP. Whatever, I don't know. Alex Kushner, good. Alex, good to see you here. One of my favorite human beings. Good to have you on the live chat this evening. I appreciate that. There's a YouTube that has been shorting all the bull run. That's funny. Should I buy Bitcoin right now, and how much should I put into it? Raphael, great question. Should I buy Bitcoin right now? I should make a YouTube video called that. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. This is a good question because from an investor standpoint, you should be buying investments every month, every quarter, every 2 weeks, whatever works for you, because that's the most effective way to invest. I'm going to hunt down this Fidelity piece that I had. There's a great Fidelity article for anyone who wants to go find it and help me find it, because it's a pretty niche PDF. But it basically talks about 3 different investment strategies. One that buys only at the dip, one that buys like frequently, and one that basically is trading, I think, on a... I forget the 3 strategies. I'll find this PDF, but basically what it points out is that even if you bought all the perfect dips as comparison with just buying on a monthly basis, the monthly basis is pretty much exactly the same. So don't stress out. Don't think, how much should I buy? Just start accumulating and accumulate for the rest of your fucking life. If you're just looking to invest today, you should shut the fuck up and you should buy some goddamn Bitcoin. Just don't buy too much. Just buy frequently and buy over the next 10 years. So you buy like I'm going to buy, like, maybe you only make $1,000 a month. It's a very low amount of money. I don't know where you live. I live in Costa Rica, so I'm probably using a low amount just because I have, let's say you make $10,000 a month. You've got $5,000 in bills. So you end up having $5,000. Like, I want to save. So we're going to put $2,500 of that every month into investments. And I'm going to go, okay, I want to buy like $500 in Bitcoin, or $1,000 in Bitcoin, $500 in Ethereum. I'm going to put another $1,000 in Bitcoin because who knows, you know. So I put $2,500 in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Boom, there's 1 month spent. Well, what are you going to do next month? You're going to accumulate more. And you should do that really without thinking. So whatever value you can spend every month without thinking, it really should be your investment strategy there, Raphael. And so think smaller amounts, not larger amounts. That's a very important factor. Oh no, my blue light went out. I like my blue light. It's too bad. Bye blue light. Okay, next question, and then we're gonna go over more charts this evening, guys. So make sure, if that's what you're interested in, stick around. I like doing these live long stream conversations. I know YouTube likes it when we do these ridiculously long conversations as well. Give us a thumbs up if you like this content, ladies and gentlemen. We love sharing with you guys. And so we've got a lineup of things on the chat here that we're going to go through. So we're going to go over SNX, KNC, THETA, GRT, XLM, ADA, Link, and DOT, and BAND. And I'm going to rip through those really fast because I have most of them already charted up. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I've got GRT on there for the to look at as well, guys. Yeah, so don't worry. I don't know what it is technologically speaking. I just don't have enough time. Ripple had the chance to settle, but probably refused. How could Ripple win? If they already surpassed a place of settlement, which would have been a smart idea, it would be hard for them because the SEC, it's like a prosecutor. You can watch lots of times where they actually throw innocent people in jail, and that innocent person will sit in jail for quite some time. So I wouldn't bet against the SEC because they're on the government side. And sadly, the rule of law is not the same for everybody, it appears. So how could Ripple win? The settlement of some kind. I don't know that they could be deemed as a currency at this point because people were buying it under the guise and expectation like, will Ripple go up in price? That's one of those kind of questions that really confuse it. Shh, hey, puppies. Shh. No whining right now. It's video time. So yeah, if they didn't settle, then it would be a difficult one. Play the devil's advocate. Okay. Um, how could XRP win? I don't know. They would have a hard time because they've been selling it on the open market to fund Ripple Labs. That's a really difficult distinction to get away from. If they were experimenting and had already been giving it away and they were very open about the fact that they own all of the supply, none of those things were really ever offered to the retail investor. It's very likely that they'll get deemed as security. And the SEC is hard to fight, so how could they win? They could move somewhere else. They could basically close up shop, get deemed as security, and go operate offshore through the decentralized platforms. Let's say I don't know, wrap XRP and Ethereum and run it on the decentralized automated market makers. I don't know. Hard to say. That's a very tricky question, Alex. I'm not sure. We'd need a lawyer on the show. Should try to get my legal representative to come on the show and help that one out. That's because it's a very interesting question. Okay, where do you think Bitcoin next week? Okay, 3 month. Tio, how long will the bull run last? I think we've probably got around, let's see, we started in March. So March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. We're approximately, we're just about 9 months into this bull market now from March. I don't know why I had to count that. I know March is the third month. That was ridiculous. So let's see, we're 9 months in, probably another 9 to 12 more months of vertical momentum before we start to see like final tops, maybe 18 months from now. So yeah, bull markets are about 18 to 24 months before we start to see some real consolidation. So end of 2021, second quarter of 2022 will be the kind of the finalization of our bull market, Alex. That just a rough guess by timing. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. It's basically up to the big boys who have enough money to decide how long the bull markets last. How will Washington chaos affect the Bitcoin price right now? It won't necessarily. They're not in any way connected. We kind of went over that in the beginning of the show, how the sentiment between the average person and market are not really connected anymore. Sadly, Main Street and Wall Street are completely disconnected from one another. Can the Washington chaos crash the crypto market? Not at all. Crypto likes chaos. It's born as an anti-fragile system, or at least it should be if it's not. So I really suspect that chaos will actually create more potential in Bitcoin because the supply is gone. The demand is only going to continue to increase. The chaos, what could we see? Bitcoin, if something went wrong with Bitcoin, which has nothing to do with political chaos, then we would see a price drop. But like if someone figured out how to hack into Satoshi's wallet, even then those million Bitcoin would get eaten up. So if they were, Derek Young says, you really consider the beginning March? Oh, absolutely. Look, guys, the very day that the bull market started was March 11th, the day they declared the pandemic. So yes, the bull market started in March. If you do your homework, you will know that is a fact. Why 18 months? Great. Another great question. Just because I pulled it out of my ass and I made it up, could be one of the answers, but also because this bull market is significantly different than the 2017 market. And it has a longer staying power because of the amount of money and the complexity of the investor that is here now versus 2017. So I do suspect that the length and the duration will continue further than what 2017 was because of the complexity of and the scale of the investors that are here now. You have the world's biggest funds like Medallion and Renaissance who have done 4 times more than it, like Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett, the world's biggest investors. They don't even compare to Medallion and Jim Simmons Fund, whose name most of you have probably never heard, but I do suggest researching him. Those guys are at the helm of this market. Jim Simmons and the Renaissance Fund showed up in April, right at the beginning of the bull market, because they're very skilled at this game and they move around hundreds of billions of dollars when they play. They are the world's biggest fund. They don't answer to anybody either. They don't take any private investment. The only way to ever get into their fund is by fucking working there. Shout out to Jim Simmons and the Medallion Renaissance Fund for being the flagship of proving that high frequency traders make a hell of a lot more than anybody else in the market. They're the most lucrative fund in history and they trade every freaking second. Anyways, so check out Jim Simmons. Hats off to them because they're like prolific to some degree. What is the variables to change into the bear market and what should we be paying attention to? We're really looking for that top blow off top, Alex, which is going to be a very clear trading range and a close below it. So it'll be the opposite of the long-term accumulation that we've been watching. You'll see a big blow up with and very thin price spread, but massive amounts of supply and volume coming into the market. That will be the key indicator. I think we're a ways away from that. Where do you see Bitcoin in the next week? Could easily touch 42 grand. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. Again, we're looking for those moments when the volume spread and so the volume and price spread are changing. So the lines of effort and result are diminishing. So when there's more effort and less result in the trading range at the top, that will be our first up thrust, and that will represent our first area of distribution, which we have not seen yet, which is fascinating. We want to know your opinion when BT will have a correction. Just like I just said, we really want to look for effort versus result, which is a key indicator of Wyckoff's analysis, and you'll see that by the volume and the price spread. So that would be important. Thoughts on Chainlink, MACD? Yeah, okay, great. Cool. Yeah, okay. So I've got a list of tokens we're going to look at here. Thanks for your comments on my question. My pleasure. I love chatting here with you guys. Tether is exploding as the wild card. Yeah, great point. Actually, we'll kind of end with this one. Let's end with this one. Tether has brought a massive amount of inherent risk to the crypto sector because it's basically all the problems that the USD has, but now in the crypto sector. And also what's interesting is that the crypto sector is now measured more than ever in US dollars. All these big funds like Renaissance, they don't give a shit about having more Bitcoin. They're making more US dollars. And that's a big change since where we were in 2017 when people like me were only interested in trying to get more Bitcoin, not more US dollars. That sentiment shift in the general investor, I mean, I think Michael Saylor and Anthony Pompliano, some of those guys are the rarer few who see that Bitcoin is like one of these pure assets. But they're nothing compared to Renaissance. Like Michael Saylor's 1 billion versus Renaissance's hundreds of billions. Okay, there's a big difference between these two styles of investors and traders. I appreciate that Michael Saylor sees that Bitcoin is a pure type of asset, but the people that have way more money are focused on getting more US dollars. They're not trying to get more Bitcoin, and that's a weird sentiment. I don't actually know how the Tether sentiment will play into this because they're looking for the unstable currency to have more of, which is kind of an abstraction. People like myself, I agree with Saylor and Pompliano that I want more of the pure asset, not the failing currency, but the people that have hundreds of billions of dollars don't seem to care about wanting the pure asset because they already have made hundreds of billions of dollars. So I don't know. It's a difficult question. That's a very difficult question. Tether could explode. You've got $60 billion in volume there. A lot of it's on probably leverage trades. How much of that leverage trade is holding the market up? Like how many people went 10x long at $10,000, $20,000 that are keeping the market going up and in reducing the supply on these perpetual future swaps? That is the kind of potential black swan in this ecosystem. I do believe it would get all bought up anyways. How much could that drop the price? Probably pretty dramatically if something X'd in that. But we do see USDC being offered by the federally chartered banks now, which is again all run on Ethereum. That's a pretty big deal. So I'm not sure. Maybe it just goes to USDC then if USDT fails. Used to be bullish on Omise Go. Has that changed? No, I'm still bullish on almost everything DeFi, and OMG is definitely DeFi. Now, guys, I also want you to know that there are different ways to look at a portfolio, from whether you're an investor, whether you're a trader, or whether you're well, I guess that's pretty much the easiest. We'll just use those two. Are you investing or are you trading? Trading or investing? I didn't mean to give you guys all the finger, but I thought since I do it, I should make it like prominent, because I didn't mean to do it. I have a pen in my hand for no reason. Are you an investor or are you a trader? Or are you doing both? Right? Again, remember, Medallion, Renaissance Fund, the people that make a hell of a lot more money than any of the regular investors, they're traders. The traders that are really good make more than the investors. Keep that in mind. But the point to this question is, I think the highlight to the point of this question is, when we're looking at something like Omisego, am I looking to trade it to acquire more alpha, or am I looking for, I'm going to put a venture capital bet in something like this and walk away? Because they're vastly different versions of the way people live their lives. Investing is a much more, let's say, passive format. What Medallion does is they hire the world's top scientists, people that can basically chart where a comet's going to go, and they put their ability to figure out what a comet's aphelion would be, which probably none of us could figure out. Maybe a few of you guys out there. I'm not definitely smart enough to do so. But when you have some of the world's smartest people trying to figure out how to get in and out of trades as quickly as possible, those are the people who have made the most money. So the people that have made the most money are actually traders, not investors, which is contrary to popular belief. It's just they're very good at doing something that most people aren't, which is becoming scientific about it and logical about trading, and that's why most people fail as traders, is because they are absolutely everything but logical. They are extremely emotional and extremely invested in how much money they're going to make or lose at that point, most likely as well, because they're emotionally invested. When you have scientists building algorithms to trade at high frequency, what you end up getting is a vastly different focus on, well, why would you want Omisego? So that you can have more US dollars, so that you can buy whatever it is that you want? Or do you want Omisego because maybe you want to experiment? Maybe you're tech and you want to build with this idea, or you want to play around with it. So, a lot of these conversations are about the difference between the trader and the investor. Like, what is the point that you're trying to make? Both investor and trader are trying to make more alpha, right? They're trying to make more money. So the two different ways to get to the same goal. So when I look at something like Omisego, like, well, where does it fit in the portfolio? I think, again, venture capital is the best way to go. You put a small amount of money into something like this and you can walk away for 10 years. And if you were right, great. If you were wrong, great. Right? That's the point. But you should really try to separate those ideas so that you don't become emotionally invested in what you're doing, because that's when you will fail. Okay. Trade vesting, nice. I like that one. Thoughts on Cardano, long-term DeFi, then Ethereum. EOS is making big strides in the DeFi space too, so it's hard to say. Again, this is going to be about community adoption, and Cardano is almost dead in terms of a blockchain, comparatively speaking. Trading is a tax problem for me. I'm a Q citizen. Yeah, I feel sorry for United States citizens. Your guys' tax laws are absolutely atrocious. I don't see, I would disagree about Hex to some degree, because you have these incredibly long staking ideas, which are basically could be viewed as a Ponzi scheme. Now, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it could be. We don't know yet. We haven't. Look, they've got Hex. To me, is one of these weird things, because I understand the ability of locking tokens up and yield farming and the DeFi sector and the importance of token scarcity and the validity of being able to use something. But then I go to Uniswap, and there's like, okay, let's go back to the let's go to the chart. And we're gonna make again. I would love to have Richard Hart on the show. He's kind of an arrogant person. I've met him once or twice, and he's not someone I would ever want to hang out with. Like, please, I don't want that person as my friend. I love my friends. It's like not a person I'd want to hang out with. Like, I like people that are kind and curious. But that's just a personal sentiment of mine, nothing to do with Hex, just a personal sentiment about that particular person. But I love having conversations with people. But let's go ahead and take a look at something here and make a little bit of conjecture because I think it's important. And we're going to start with making this conjecture around Hex specifically. So if we go to Uniswap, and guys, look, I'm learning, so I don't know the answer to these things, right? I'm just trying to make conjecture. So even though I guess that was kind of like a harsh mark for Richard, he's definitely an intelligent person. He's just also a very rude person, and I would much rather hang out with like open-hearted, kind, and curious people. It's much more copacetic and parsimonious for me. But anyways, so let's type in Hex here. So Hex to ETH pair. Okay, $13 million in liquidity for Hex. So this month here, I hear him claim on a live stream that he has a multiple billion-dollar project, but there's only $13 million in liquidity. I'm sorry, but there's something very wrong with that. Whoever owns the most Hex right now could rug pull this in an instant. $13 million is fucking chump change if you consider it a multi-billion-dollar project. There's not enough liquidity on Uniswap for that to be even remotely true. There looks like a massive hallucination here in value, and I could prove it, but I don't really want to get into that conversation right now. But that's the downside that I see, is there are some very clear numerical evaluations here that do not line up. So let's go to coin. We could go to CoinGecko. We go to Nomics. There's a bunch of different ways that we could look at this. I don't think it's really important to continue that conversation, but really, I think this is a key indicator. $13 million in liquidity. And not only that, it's actually less than that. It's approximately half that. It's 5.76. It's approximately $6.3 million in liquidity of Ethereum, because that's the only thing that as far as I'm concerned, that actually has value. Like, again, I could be wrong. Maybe let's just go ahead and say I'm wrong for fun, because who knows? But look, guys, when you see this limited liquidity here and a supposed multi-billion-dollar market cap, that's not how that works. My friend who made hundreds of millions of dollars, they were making $9 billion a year in revenue on paper. That's fucking cold, hard cash, baby. That's spendable at the bank every day kind of money. This is only $13 million in liquidity. That's a very, very stark contrast difference between $1 billion. That is nowhere near $1 billion. If they had even, let's say, $500 billion in liquidity here, I'd be like, okay, now you're talking. That's some serious money, but they don't. That's concerning to me. This would be very concerning to me. This is all hush, gosh, bagosh nonsense as far as I'm concerned. Now, I'd love to have a conversation because look, maybe there's more liquidity out there. Where's the rest of the Hex liquidity if it's not on Uniswap? Anyways, it's my thoughts about Hex. Richard Hart, if you want to come on the show or you want to argue with me at one point, I would love that. Anyways, next thoughts. Okay, let's go to the charts here. SNX, KNC, THETA, GRT, XLM, ADA, OMG, Band, Link, and DOT. Okay, and we're going to rip through these guys. So thank you all for joining us this evening. Give us a thumbs up if you like this content. We are currently going to be going through a bunch of quick technical analysis, making some conjecture, talking some total shit here, because that's what I like doing at a Wednesday night. Have a little bit of sip of my Island Root kombucha. Okay, let's get on with it. Where's the next thing? Okay, let's start with Link because I already have it open, and Band. We'll go with Band. Boom. Okay, back out to the 4-hour chart. Band. Let's start here. We sent out a message to our private members and our free newsletter the other day about Band. Reason being, I entered my trade here at 7.7 USDT per band, approximately right here, at the breakout of what I considered to be a beautiful inverse head and shoulders, a very strong reaccumulation pattern in one of the DeFi plays. Okay, where's Band going? Up, baby. It broke right past this $9 area, and it's consolidating here, and it's exactly what we want to see. Again, in the private group, we went over this last night. I said, hey guys, if we consolidate around $9, I'm gonna double down on my position here. I started to add a little bit more. Again, that's kind of a different topic. Play however you want, but the best place was this drawdown double right at the $7 mark. but I got in at 7.7, this just as we broke above the box here, this around this area. So I'm still in my position from last night, and I'm going to start actually adding to it. Not much, because it is a bit riskier. We could see another drawdown here, so I probably won't add too much, if any, actually, because I missed this spike, and look at that volume that came in here too. But overall, band is probably going to go much higher. Again, this thing did 1,000% in its last move here just recently. Like, okay, so here you go. Here's the beginning of March 2020, way down here, and that is 5,000%, ladies and gentlemen. So there's a lot of momentum here already. Beautiful accumulation pattern, fits all the standards of everything we like, including our spring signature here, which is always nice to see. And we were rising on declining volume for quite some time. And I actually do suspect that we'll see lower volume signatures probably for the next few days, and even a further price rise, clearly further indicating our bull market run. How high could we go in the long term? I'm not even going to speculate, but I'm looking for my first points of resistance and potential reaccumulation around $13 like this before we go, who knows how much higher we could go on band, considering the exponential growth from $1 to $20 to reaccumulation around $5. Okay, next on the list was DOT. We're just going to scroll through these. DOT was a nice play. We sent this one out as well. To our private members. We were looking at this beautiful cup and handle. Now, I want to point out to you guys, cup and handles take months to form. If anyone's ever showing you a cup and handle on a 4-hour, they don't know a goddamn thing that they're talking about. An accumulation range as a cup and handle should take months. At the very least, like 7 weeks, like a month and a half. Because these are big, powerful moves, and they usually yield about 100%. So we're probably near the top of the first accumulation pattern for DOT. We'll probably go to about $12 before we see the first distribution and reaccumulation, and probably higher into a bull market as well. Let's take a look at Link now, also one of our favorites. Link. I'm actually going to start to redraw this because it did not like this rising gradient bottom. We've been watching this one in the private group. I know a bunch of you guys are pretty heavy in this trade as well. Here you can see our horizontal range. This backup phase was really interesting because we had a rising gradient bottom through the box. So for those of you that have been studying with us, you'll know that I was quite bullish on Link, and I still am, because of this rising gradient channel through our horizontal trading range. But the backup phase, because of Bitcoin's momentum, a lot of the people that had entered Link late, like here or whatever, even up here probably, all the retail traders, Jason Parabolic buying Link up here. He's like, I bought $32,000 in Link up at the top. I mean, if you can sit through it, sure, but that doesn't make sense. Just wait a minute. Here, this was probably a lot of that weak hands getting shaken out because of Bitcoin momentum. So this backup phase here was actually quite a bit longer. So now this first sign of strength after that backup phase has shown us. We're probably going to see a bit of a reaccumulation here at around $16 or $17. A little bit, tiny bit of resistance at 19, and then there's nothing but free and clear. I do suspect Link is actually going to go higher. We made speculations of upwards of $50 to $70 prior to that, especially following the excitement in the bull market. So what else do we have on the list? Okay, let's just look at what's up next. I like Avalanche. Thank you for who was ever in the group and pointed out that I was accidentally actually charting AVA instead of AVX the other day. Avalanche, another powerful potential here. Horizontal trading range, spring, run up to the quick of the top. We'll probably see a little bit of a backup here, and I do suspect that this bull market cycle is going to continue. And again, guys, notice the frequency of these horizontal trading ranges. Okay, Kyber network, KNC, another one we're going to take a look at. Very similar pattern here through the horizontal range. Now, this was probably a bit of a fat finger buy. Normally, you don't see too much of a break out of the box this early on. And again, this makes Kyber is giving us a perfect opportunity to learn something. So look at the volume spread, and this is what we mean by effort versus result. Okay, so look at this volume spread here. like you almost can't even see it. See this tiny little bit of volume at the bottom here? Like I'm not even sure if you guys can see that. Let's see, I'm gonna have to zoom in on my volume. Anyways, I see this is the important part. Notice how much volume came in, supply, and look how much result you got. Versus back here, look how much volume came in and how much result. Clearly Kyber network is moving into probably a reaccumulation range here. And then we're going to see a pretty explosive bull market. It looks like the DeFi sector looks primed. Okay, next on the list was SNX, or GRT was first there as well. A little bit too early in GRT to make any real assumption about the trading range specifically. I would be hesitant, but if you are interested in it and you know more about the tech than I do, I would take an investor standpoint, and I would just be accumulating small amounts, trying to build a position over the long term, because there's just not enough data here for me to make any real conjecture about price. We'll take a quick look at XTZ, because I know some of you are whoa, Tezos. Okay. Tezos having its first kind of stopping action. Interesting. Okay, so here's our first stopping action. This actually probably represents our selling climax for Tezos. This is probably the bottom. That's nice to see. I won't, not enough information for the trading range at this moment for me to make any conjecture. So we will continue to move on. KAVA is a nice one as well. A little bit too early to tell, but it does look like we could. Okay, some guys see here. This is a great example. The horizontal trading range is not always the best approach. Sometimes, and this is a great example. Fuck, this is a beautiful example. Guys, I'm going to start doing this more often, where we just look at everything, because there's sometimes beautiful examples like this. This is a falling gradient bottom reaccumulation range. And it's highlighted by this massive amount of supply coming in as our spring. So this would be phase C for those of you who are keeping up with our Wyckoff studies or part of our private group. If you're not part of our private group yet, I do suggest you go to arcanebear.com/private, or you can find them in the links below, and sign up for our mastermind group. We do a monthly newsletter. We have tons of content that we put out, and we have a group of some of the most intellectually robust people that I've ever met. And I'm grateful to be a part of the community myself. Point of this is we also have a no risk refund guarantee. Only a few of you have ever actually asked for a refund, but no matter what happens, if you're not happy for any reason, I'm happy to give your money back. Don't need it, but it helps build the rest of the community. So we're doing all these new fun things, building the Discord channel, and we give money, and we do giveaways to our community quite frequently. But the point of this is this rising gradient bottom, this phase C, these volume spikes, this is all the stuff that we study in the masterminds. And here you go. This looks like the backup, and this looks like the first breakout. So KAVA itself is also looking like it's likely going to see one heck of a bull market. 43% out of the box already. Okay, you guys asked me about SNX and THETA. I'm going to have to hunt around for these ones. Let's see here. Let's make sure I don't miss anything. We went over GRT, not enough data there. We went over KNC, we went over Band, we went over Link, we went over DOT. So we've got SNX, ADA, OMG, and XLM, and THETA coming up next. So I'm going to have to scroll through here, and bear with me, guys. I don't have any of those easy to access on my chart list because I'm not trading them. But I will look them up and make conjecture for you guys, because there's these great examples of this spring. Like, look at that volume. Clearly a spring. Wow, you gotta love that. Okay, but let's continue to look here. What are we looking for? Okay, Zilliqa, that's to BTC. We don't want to do that anymore. We've changed now Senex to BTC. SRM, SNX. Okay, we're just gonna have to add these all together. Okay. Let's go. We'll go with THETA, because there's a lot of hype around THETA. I think every conversation someone's like, "Oh my God, THETA, blah blah blah." So let's take a look at all the hype around THETA. We'll look at the perpetual futures contract, and let's see. Let's hope it has enough data for me to look at here. Oh yeah, THETA is very high, but look, we had already charted this, guys. Some of you were trading this in the private bear group, I remember, because you made beautiful kick-ass trades here. This is where you wanted to enter the trade, was in this reaccumulation horizontal trading range. and make your positions here effectively. I would be a little worried about distribution up this high. Definitely not a trade I would enter at this point. That's for sure. Yeah, I wouldn't be entering a trade here in Theta. That's for damn sure. That's probably all I have to say about Theta. But if you had made your entries in December, congratulations, you made a successful Wyckoff trading analysis. I actually know Glasswalker, one of our private members, made this trade. I think one or two that you guys did as well. And again, this is the important part about the private group, is even though I don't like Theta, you show me a trading range like this and I go, fuck yeah, trade that. Like, that's a beautiful trading range. I don't care what the tech does. When you see trading ranges like this form, they're very, very powerful. Okay, let's take a look at Zilliqa. That's another one on the list, so I can cross Theta off. Oh yeah, guys, see Zilliqa, another one. Beautiful trading range between June and December. And again, now I think it's very clear now why we study Wyckoff so frequently. So for those of you who do not know, this is why you look for a horizontal trading range. You look for these last moments, this back out. This is where you take your position. You have to wait. You don't have to wait at all for these explosive moves to come through. Are Theta and Zilliqa done making their move? Maybe not. But it's much, much too late for me to be interested in a position because this is where you would have wanted to take them, was in December. And I believe we went over these in December. They were about here at this point. But more importantly, guys, be on the hunt and the lookout for these horizontal trading ranges. So let's see if any of the other ones we have on our list are in that same place. So SNX is the next one on the list. So that's SNX. Let's go. Do they have a perpetual futures on SNX? Not yet. Okay. Not as exciting. Probably not going to find. Oh, there we go. We do have perpetual futures on SNX. Good. That's going to give us a bit more data. It's helpful. Okay, look at this. Who wants to make a conjecture on what this is? Another beautiful horizontal trading range, just like that, highlighted by our spring. Massive amount of volume on the spring, very little price movement. Look, supply, price. Very important part in the spring to recognize. And then again, look at this. This is this effort versus result, guys. Similar or even less supply coming in. And again, in a bull market, less volume is the sign of a bullish indicator when you have more result. So effort versus result, you need to really ingrain that into your brain, because a lot of YouTubers don't know what they're talking about, and they always think that more volume is a good thing. It's not. It's not a good thing. You want less volume, declining volume, rising price. Extremely important to recognize. But here again, look at how much supply or effort came in, and look how much result there was, versus here, less supply and effort, but a lot more result. So SNX looks like it just broke out of the box on December 25th, 29th. Yeah, so again, guys, look for these horizontal trading ranges. Try to get them before they break out is usually the best place to go. That's why I took my positions in band recently, is because it's not done. Since you guys do like these tokens and you have all asked about them frequently, I'm going to add them to our consistent watch list. I'm going to add all these to our consistent watch list, and we will do the same thing with ADA. Let's see, we did SNX now. We've got OMG, XLM, and ADA coming right up. Okay. ADA, perpetual futures contract. Not enough data on ADA here. Let's see if we've got a longer format, but it looks like we're going to see something very similar. Really? Wow. Okay, so let's see. Maybe we'll try Bitfinex for a bit more data here. Okay, so this actually looks, there's not enough data here for me to tell, but again, I'm sure many of you will see what I'm about to draw, most likely. Hey, look, ta-da, a horizontal trading range. This looks to me more like what I would expect a cup and handle to be. Again, anyone who shows you a cup and handle on a 4-hour has absolutely no idea what they're talking about. You shouldn't listen to them. More importantly, the cup and handles that you want look like this, and they usually yield about 100%. So we can make some conjecture. Is ADA is probably almost done the first part of its move. For those of you who were with us when we traded EOS during that last cup and handle, when it in like 2017, when it went from $3 to 22, or no, from like 7 to 22. Yeah. I think it was something like that. We'd have to go back, and it was another beautiful cup and handle. So ADA also looks like it just finished its cup and handle, and cup and handles usually do around 100%. So it's probably kind of near the top. And anyways, leave it at that. I'm going to keep these on the list for you guys because I know you're going to want to watch them. We could go more into the minutia, and maybe we'll do that on the next episodes to look for like potentials, right? This straight up momentum to me. We could, here you go. Here's another great learning lesson, right? Look at all this volume. Look at all this. Okay. Yeah. Look at all this supply coming in and how very little it affected the price. All the supply coming in, how very little it affected the price. That's not a great indicator. You want it like this when it's very little volume and like, woo, just an equal price spread. So again, effort versus result, guys, really drive that into your brain. I know in the private group, if you guys have read the PDFs that we produce around trading and investing, you should have this already ingrained. But remember, trading or effort versus result is how you measure volume and price spread effectively. Okay, so now we can cross ADA on the list. Thank you guys for being patient with me. OMG was the last of those three that you guys had asked me to look at from a traders and investment standpoint. OMG perpetual futures, not on Binance. Okay, we'll use Binance. We'll make it purple. That way we can keep track of all those ones as well. How much data do we have for OMG? Well, let's go to the daily. Oh, okay. So generally speaking, yeah, here we go. Yeah, okay. So not a very clear chart here. There's a lot of volatility in here. Really hard to say. Again, another great example of effort and result. Very similar effort. Well, this one's quite a bit higher, but look at the results difference, significantly higher. And here, a very positive bullish indicator pulling in for Omisego right now. Look how limited this volume is versus this result. Compare the early parts of the backup phase to where we are now, which is likely probably starting a new breakout for Omisego. I would have probably not entered a trade here, personally speaking, just because it's not very clear to me yet. But it does look like one of the reaccumulation patterns we had talked about that looks like this, where you have the BCLX at the top and the reaccumulation at the bottom. I'm on the laptop. I always forget that I got to put I have to put all the Arcane Bear stuff back on the laptop. Let's use Roman Bogdanov's reaccumulation pattern then, because we don't have mine open for the reaccumulation pattern. Yes, reaccumulation schematic 4 looks very similar to Omisego right now. This to me looks like this. I do believe that we're probably going to see a close above the box. I would wait for this area personally to enter a trade. But again, it hasn't broken out yet, and it looks very similar to this. Now, this is one of the weaker reaccumulation periods, so it doesn't look like it's going to be as powerful as one might hope, but you're probably going to get a significant amount of movement out of there as well. Anyways, okay, well, there we go. We went over everything that you guys had asked. I hope you appreciate that. It was a lot of talking. Give us a thumbs up if you like this content. I will take the last 10 minutes of this episode to answer more of your guys' questions, because I love riffing and ranting, and you guys always have great sentiments, and sometimes you get me to talk shit about things. I've sworn way more in this episode than I thought I would, but that's okay. You can't win them all. I'm going to have to go back and rechange my YouTube affiliate advertisement settings so they don't try to ding me. But let's go. Lastly, let's see. Do we have total perps on here? No, we'll load those up for the next episode. Yes, $37,000 on Bitcoin again. We're sitting at $9.40 for band. That's nice to see. We did not spend that much time around that $9 mark before we continued. I didn't even get to finish this episode, so no me taking a bigger position. That just went out the window. Let's see here. We'll finalize. Yeah, that just went out the window. But again, here, this is a smaller reaccumulation range. As you can see, these horizontal trading ranges can be extremely useful. You can see even a fairly well-defined spring, considering it's an accumulation range. And you don't always get that, which is kind of a nice thing to see. Why is my mouse not grab? Come on, mouse. I want to grab the blue thing. What is happening? Anyways, I'm sure you guys can see horizontal trading range. Here's our spring. Here's our supply coming in. Still a lot of effort. Still a lot of effort right now here. I would rather see, we're probably going to see some consolidation here. So maybe I still do have time to enter this trade a bit heavier. You want to see a declining volume, rising price out of the backup phase, and then just a massive spike up with a very similar, like if you see volume spikes like this institutional buying come in here, you're probably going to see a move to $13, $14, $15 quite easily. I'm very excited about this band trade because we got in just as it was getting out of the box, and it's powerful, volatile, but powerful. Okay, now on to your guys' thoughts and questions. And wow, I really miss my blue light. This scenery doesn't look as good if without that blue light behind me, does it? It's another story. These batteries just don't last long enough. Okay, questions? How about CRV? We'll add that to the list. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and come back for our next live episodes, and we'll go over CRV. I need to start paying attention when y'all talk about coins. Look, I think there's so much that can be said for general study and curiosity. Don't try to make money. Try to learn something. And I think that's one of the best sentiments to go, Ascension. And I know you know that already. I just wanted to share that for everybody. Are we at the beginning? Yes. Maybe closer to the end of the beginning at this moment. We're probably near some of the first starts, especially because we're leading into what looks like a bull market in the DeFi sector. So we might see some consolidation here. Keep an eye on that one. Profit taking time for ADA. As we went over on the ADA chart, it was quite noticeably near probably some of the peaks of its extension. Can it go further? Yes. These things can do hundreds of percent. So what I try to do if I'm up that high and I entered my trade in the bottom of the range is I close out most of the trade and I let 10 to 20% of it, whatever I don't mind just completely losing and walking away from, ride. I let it ride for maybe a year or two even. That way if it keeps going up, you don't feel silly. Always let some ride. Like it's a great way to build a venture capital portfolio too. It's just like, okay, I'll always just leave a little bit of band in there. It's fine. I got some now. Could you expand on trading with leverage? Maybe talk us through the math on your screen sometime. Yeah, we could do a live trade on leverage sometimes. Again, I don't suggest it for new traders or investors. If you want to go lose some money, leverage trading is a great way to go if you don't know what you're doing. Knowing what you're doing, you can do without needing to actually leverage trade, and it's really about charting and knowing where you are in the markets. That's why I so clearly try to every day go over these horizontal Wyckoff accumulation ranges and focus on effort versus result, because once you know how to do that, it's a game changer. XLM. Oh, we missed XLM. Okay. Finalize on XLM. Your top 3 alts to throw my dirty fiat in for Moonboy gains. Okay, great one. AVAX for Avalanche, DOT and Band are my top 3 DeFi, like kind of DeFi. But I like Aave too. SNX is great. Yeah, so we'll leave it at that. You can choose. We will go over XLM. I'll close out the show with that. XLM, please. Stellar, please. Okay, I will go over that here. Do you have any thoughts on RSR? I'll write. Tell you what. I've got RSR and CRV for next episode. Make sure you guys click that little subscribe button. That way, when we go live next time and we go over those, you guys will be notified. And then that way we can hopefully provide as much valuable content for the things that you guys are interested in. One of my main focus is to communicate the value of what your guys' focus is on, because without you, I wouldn't have looked at KAVA and we wouldn't have been able to find so many great expressions of this effort versus result sentiment that we wanted to share, because again, these are the perfect opportunities to learn, even if you're not trading. Okay, one or two more quick thoughts here, and then we will finalize with XLM before we enter and jump off the show. Some random internet user says, "Hey Tio, I really appreciate you. I enjoyed your talk with Omar yesterday. Thanks, man." Oh, thank you, random internet user. I love your name for that comment. I love Omar. You know, me and him became really good friends while we were in Anarchapulco together. My partner at the time and Al, his partner, got along really well. We spent a bunch of time walking on the beach and pontificating about all sorts of interesting things. I really, really appreciate the other crypto content creators that I've been able to be friends with at that moment. You know, shout out to CryptoLark, you know, some of the best in the business. Data Dash, Nick Merton, one of my good friends. And by the way, download Digifox. If you haven't yet, go download Digifox. What a great product that Nick has put together. I'm a big fan of Michael from Box Mining as well. And yeah, there's a lot of really great people out here. We already went over GRT and we already went over Link, so you'll have to go back to the beginning. If any of you guys, if one of you starts timestamping my videos, I will give you Bear for every time you do it. But you have to timestamp all these different coins for me. I don't know how much Bear I'll give you, but if one of you do it and I can just put it in there so we have the new chapter section, I'll give one of you Bear. So we already went over a bunch of these ideas. We already went over GRT and Link. So whoever can help me do that, so whoever watches this stream later on down the road can find those easier, I'll be really appreciative and we'll send you some free Bear. Okay, finalize the evening with XLM. And then that will be the end of the episode tonight. I really am grateful for all your guys' support. Let's go here. Okay, XLM. Let's look for the perpetual futures contracts because they usually provide a fair amount of good volume and data for us to take a look at. No futures on Binance? Really? No, I don't believe it. It must be hiding somewhere. Okay, well, we might have to use the FTX data, which is fine. I like FTX. They're great. That's it. Gonna have to use FTX. Well, FTX, shout out to Sam Bankman-Fried. Great product he's built. Let's see if they have enough data for XLM here. Maybe we'll use Hoiby. Why is it not? I don't know why XLM is not showing up here on my futures contracts. Maybe we'll just go to Tether. Not as exciting, not as sexy, but we'll use the Tether pairing instead. Yeah, not enough data. Damn it. Okay, guys, just give me a sec here. We're gonna have to find enough data. What? Are you kidding me? A 655% move from the 4th of January? Are you shitting me? Oh, that's amazing. Is something, am I getting that right? Really? No, that's fantastic. Well, shout out to anyone who was in that XLM trade. I remember we were looking at XLM earlier in the year, and we were going to make some trades on that. It won't let me open these other. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful trading range. Look at this. You guys are going to love this. This is another great example of a very unique type of horizontal trading range. So let's make sure I have both of these charts open. Let's go back. You guys can see my screen. Next time I'll make sure we have the full aspect open up here. We're going to use this reaccumulation pattern. Yes, this one. Okay, so this is reaccumulation schematic. Oh no, this is not the spring. Let's see here. The internet is going really slow, I believe. Huh. I don't know why those are not loading. Try one more time. Okay, well, this is a really nice reaccumulation pattern. This is actually something we've gone over a few times. Okay, yeah, this was it with the spring. I'm going to make sure the Arcane Bear stuff is on this laptop so that I can use our own content instead of someone else's. Okay, so here again, another beautiful horizontal trading range. And what you see is actually this dip below the box. Very similar to here, a spring below. And this one's actually quite a bit deeper on phase C. So down here. And then again, this huge move. We'll go from the point of control. Okay, 140%. Why was I seeing 400%? 200% move from the bottom of the spring to where we are now. This, if I was in this position, I would still be sitting in this position. I think XLM is the real XRP, if you ask me, because XLM has this very same kind of structure, but doesn't have the security problems that Ripple is having. That actually could be why you're seeing such a big pump in Stellar to some degree. Actually, I think there was some news about Stellar being adopted as a potential for some country as well. So shout out to you guys for pointing out XLM, a beautiful horizontal reaccumulation trading range with a spring through phase D, just as we see here. Very, very important to do your study, guys, and now you know why. Steel with the Arcane Bear. I'm signing off for the rest of the evening. Thank you guys for joining us on this very long, very, very fun episode. I'm going to make sure we do more of these kind of long stream versions where we go over as much of your guys' interest as possible, because it doesn't take me that long. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out what my dogs are barking at. Thank you guys. Give us a thumbs up if you like this content. Leave all your thoughts, your questions down below. And remember, if one of you guys can help me timestamp all of this, because I'm pretty sure it was like a 2-hour conversation, I'm going to give you some bear. So keep that in mind. I really, really appreciate all your guys' support. It means the world of difference to me. I've always loved doing this. I don't know why. Probably because I love sharing and learning, because I'm learning as we grow too. So thank you guys for the ability to learn and grow with the rest of the Arcane Bear community. And we are gonna throw you out with the